This is Comic Picks by the Glick.
Yeah, I'm your host, Jason Glick.
Hey, Jason, what do you have on tap for us tonight?
Okay, well, this is like the Fun era podcast for 2023, and unfortunately, it's like because of reasons, we're not doing it at Funime, and this is also not going to be a buried treasures of manga, buried mediocrity of manga, buried garbage of manga podcast. No, it's just going to be a regular podcast about manga, because it's like things kind of align to the point where, hey, a series that I've been reading for several years now, actually not quite close to a decade, but close enough. Like it's finally wrapped up with this 12th volume. I'm talking about Dead Demons, Dededede Destruction, by Inio Asano. Now, longtime readers and listeners of the podcast and the blog know that I'm a big fan of Asano. From his first major work published, I posted in the U.S. The story, the story about like college kids, like trying to decide what am I going to do with my life. Malaise of Solanin. It's like that won me over big time, and also like every subsequent series that they've published from him, be it from Viz or from like Vertical stuff what a Wonderful World, the Nishigahara holograph, a girl by the shore, and a lot of people probably consider his masterwork. Good night pun. It's like good night pun pun. It's like it's like he's basically established just a reputation as a guy you can turn to for like quality left center work. Someone who like has a defined style, like of characters like who speak in arch, know it all terms, like are like have a certain like frankness about like their sexual preferences. It's like, and it's like is this series that willing to like take drastic turns in terms of like what is like considered acceptable content, like like, hey, oh my god, it's like I didn't expect to read that in this series. And that's all the stuff that like led me to start reading his latest series, because hey, like when you said, hey, Inio Asano's got a new series here, it's like I'm gonna go and read that shit no matter what. And his batting average is definitely better than most, because like the only series post over here that I haven't embraced wholeheartedly is Downfall, which kind of like takes a lot of his ticks and just feels more just more outright, it goes outright into like bathos, or just like laughable sympathy, rather than actual pathos, which is like acceptable sympathy. It's like, but Dead Demon's Destruction, looking back on this, it's like, at least looking back on what I read about this, it's interesting to know that I wasn't really like like on board with it like from when it started, because it's initially about these two high school girls, um Kadode Koyama and Oran Nakagawa, basically really solid friends who in the first volume we're introduced to, and like, they're both on each other's sides, like no matter what. And you think that, oh, it's gonna be like a series about just like what, like the testing, how the bonds of like friendships in high school are tested against like the pressures of real life. Kinda, yeah, it is, but then you get to the point in the first chapter where you see that there's a giant spaceship hanging over Tokyo, and you're wondering like, what the hell's going on here? Well, that's basically like the real like the rest of the series, because while Kodode and Oran's like relationship is like one of like the defining pillars of the series, this Did a Demons Did a Destruction basically reveals itself as a series about what it's like in life during wartime. And it's a really interesting version of wartime, because like basically like this is a series where it's, I guess you could say it's kind of like like Division 9 meets Nia Under 7. It's like, hey, you've got the District 9 versus meets Nia Under 7, because it's basically about like, hey, what happens when like the alien presence like in your world basically becomes like accepted and commonplace. And It's like in the alien presence, like, in the first couple of volumes is just like really, really understated. It's like, like, hey, there's this big old alien ship hanging over Tokyo, and people are freaked out at first, especially like, because like the parts that fall off the alien ship and like, kill people in the city. Like that's kind of a big deal. But then people kind of get used to it. After it doesn't really do anything. It's like, and the aliens are just kind of real to be like really kind of like non-threats more than anything else. So it's like this, like these first couple of volumes are just basically about Oran and it's like and Kodode just going about their the end of their lives in not the end of their lives, the end of their 10 years in high school, like with Kodode, trying to establish like a relationship with her teacher, like the like ultra laid back and ultra chill Mr. Wadarase, and it's like and Oran just trying to be like the getting like the getting like the good kill like KDA ratio. It's like in her like online shooter and all, because like while Kodode is like really restrained and like essentially normal. It's like Oran is just like really just like out there and weird. It's like this is she's like kind of pure id. She'll just say whatever is like going on in her mind at a given second. And it's kind of like and you still kind of believe that their relationship works because it's like they kind of complement each other in their own weird ways. But at the same time, you've got all this stuff going on like in the real world, like about the alien, like about the alien presence, because there's also like like the aliens are still trying to like find ways to like get out of their ship and just make a life in like the real world for themselves. But it just like winds up either being interpreted as an attack or just failing miserably. So like basically Japan like either like views their efforts to like try and like leave the ship as like an act of war. It's like, and like when people die as a result, it's like other people kind of get radicalized as a result. Because that's the other thing about this series. Because it's not just about the relationship between two high school girls. It's like how they manage things as life goes on. This is a series about life during wartime and all of the major forces that that they, that can like, try and like politicize like a war for their own benefits. Like you've got the like there are terms for like the people who are on like various sides of the conflict. There's the peace squids, like like the people who believe that like that the persecution of the aliens and like the attempts to like wipe them out or just are unwarranted and just like are inhumane. And the Worktopusses who basically believe that aliens like like they're bad. We need to wipe them out. No matter what the cost, because who knows what they have and planned for for our lot, like for humanity and all. It's like, and Asano does like a really good job, like trying to like portray all all the voices on every side of this conflict. There's the there's one kid who winds up whose potential girlfriend winds up dying as a result of a like like of the aliens trying to leave their ship, and he gets radicalized into believing that they're all bad and that like they are going like they need to be wiped out at any cost. It's like, and then there's the like one like soldier Ikeda who's living in a family who believes that, hey, good job son, you're killing those aliens, which is like what we need to do. And like his dad's point of view, and then his little sister's believes like, you're just murdering them, like they just want to live in peace, why are you doing this? And he's just kind of like like, hey, I'm just trying to do my job here. It's like, and the fact that we're not able to communicate with them, like like it just like really doesn't like, how do we like actually like try to like deal with that as a result. It's like he's one of the more level-headed for like characters in the series. But then there's also like characters like reporter like Taro Aso, who's like trying to figure out just what's going on here, like what the government is trying to do by in their efforts to try and like get like learn the secrets behind the aliens technology, and how he keeps trying, bugging his girlfriend, who is the lover of one of the government officials who's in charge of weaponizing this technology. It's like Taro like has kind of like tried the best like long-term view of this, in the sense that, like when someone like comes up to him and is like, dude, I really loved your book, man. It's like, I love what you said about you. So trying to understand everything. And then when he has also to sign his book, Aso's like, response is, get out of Tokyo now. Because, he's got like, he's like, observing the long view here. It's like, and everyone else is just kind of like, concerned with, what can we do like to maximize our position now. That's true of like the government, because the Japanese government, even though they've got like, immediate access to like, like trying to study all the alien tech, that also means like they're the closest to, like, so when something goes wrong, as it's, established like later on, like, because like the alien ship, like, it's things are going right for it, and even if the Japanese government is able to advance like its technology and make like proper bipedal robots to manage national security, both in the sense that it can protect Japan from other outside aggressors, and also the aliens that are like that they believe are trying to attack it from within. It's like like they're not doing a really really good job of it. Like they're just like trying to like advance their own their own mentality of like what constitutes us being safe and all. It's like, especially like when like they're trying to like force us through the their prime minister, who is like more of a fan of a popular idol than trying to it's like advance like what his political buddies are saying, like, this is what we're facing right now. You need to do this. Or, oh, but Myeon's on TV right now. I need to watch her. So really, it's like Dededede Demons Dededede Destruction. It's like is all about our world. It's like, and like the it's like the constant like the constant forces of polarization that that drive it right now. It's like, and on one hand, it's like I tend to find this this kind of like approach more exasperating than interesting, at least coming from the American perspectives, who are just kind of like hey, it's like it's like we're writing about the story about the world as it is right now, huh? Are you gonna care about it, huh? But Asano like does a good job of like actually getting me to, like, to be believe his approach is more interesting, because he does a good job of like portraying like like Oran, it's like Oran and Kadode's like a relationship. It's like over the like as a driving force of the series. Just basically like this is like the way we see the series, like showing it what life is like through their eyes, and his like his art like arch like humorous whimsical sensibilities are like make this series like more palatable than what I've read from like various American creators in their efforts to like talk about the series, like the world we're living in right now. So, but the thing is, Asano has also been really good at just like showing up like really like crazy depressive stuff. It's like in his series as well, and that's very true of of this series as well. Like I put Dead Demons Dededede Destruction as one of my favorite series of 2011, all because of what he did in order to show you just how Oran and Kadode became friends in this timeline, because one of the other like guiding points of this series is that it's also like a like quasi Doraemon parody. Now, if you're not familiar with Doraemon, it's a series about like a magical cat in the future who befriends this like capitalist elementary school idiot who's like not really like good at managing his own life. Like I think his name is Nobita. It's like, yeah, it shows you I know about this series. But it's like he's always like like throwing out like inventions that will help Nobita kind of like adapt to like to life as he knows it. But like they kind of like wind up blowing up in his face more often than not, and that's reflected in this series in the Isobion strips, where like, Isobion is like a mushroom person from the future who befriends this hapless idiot named Debeko, and says that hey, it's like like hey, yeah, I know your future is going to grow up to be like awful, but maybe if I give you these like these inventions to like enjoy your life as is now, like things will be less terrible. And this is like a running gag over like the first 11 volumes, because like each volume starts off with Debeko encountering a social problem, and Isobion offering a device in order to solve her problem, and it winds up being like just making her situation even worse, like as a result. And in volume 10, it's like things get really dark when we find out just when he offers like Debeko like a future mirror, or like basically a device that allows her to see what her future is going to be like, and she's kind of like, oh my god, this is like just so terrible, like why did you show me this, you bastard. And then Sobian basically decides to leave her after that, realizing that he's failed in his attempts to to give her a better life. Where am I going with this? Well, that's kind of where the aliens are going in the original timeline for the series, because in the original timeline, um, we find out that the scout for the alien race of this series basically um, showed up at a coastal town where these kids are going for a high school cram school session, and that's where like younger versions of Oran and Kadode, before they became friends, were going. And while Kadode saves the alien from like these other kids who are just like mercilessly like picking on it, it's like the alien like decides like like reward her with like like examples of his tech, because hey, you saved me, and I'm here to observe you, so like hey, why don't I show you what our stuff can do. And the thing is, though, it's like once he does this, Kadode realizes that hey, she's got the power to like make her world a better place. But the thing is that it's one thing to just convince like the gross boys in her school to just, start actually being good and just helping out people around their neighborhood. But when you hear about um like a member of the cabinet who's been abusing his funds, it's like to the detriment of people, well, what do you do about that? Like when he realizes he's going to get out scot-free, what do you do when like you realize that they're like military guys who are committing war crimes in other parts of the country? Like, what are you going to do about them? It's a case where it's like where you realize where like when you realize like what's going on here, it's like, oh well, he's going there. It's like, oh, this is bad. And it's a bad scene when this flashback arc, which fully plays out in volume 9, it's like reaches its conclusion, and you realize just what Oran has to do in order to save her friend. In fact, it's one of those cases that you don't see actually often play out in fiction, because like you'll see people like sometimes exclaim like, oh, I'll stay with you until like the till the end of the world. It's like I don't care if like the world burns, but I'll be by your side. But what happens in volume 9 basically like is exactly what happens here. Oran basically says, I don't care about the rest of the world. I am going to stand by my friend. And we get to see what happens there. And wow, it's it's a thing. It's like it's one of those cases where you realize that the light at the end of the tunnel, it really is the end of the tunnel. It's like it's like the future. It's like it's where you're going. Things are gonna be better here, but it's also distract you from the train that's like bearing down on you. It's like, and that you don't see coming. So it's like this part of Dead Demons Dead Destruction is kind of what I like to see from like like really like depressing fiction. Basically, I don't want to like marinate in the idea of like how things are going to like go bad. like over the course of this series. It's like when things are going to go bad, like oh, I can see where this is going. I don't want to like be left in these bad feelings up to that point. No, this is like an attempt where things just like go bad, and I realize, oh, oh my God, this is what it means. This is what she's done. Holy shit, man, that's fucked up. So yeah, that's really impressive, and it's like it, and the series keeps pushing with that all the way through volume 11. When, well, like for everyone who's reading the series, like it's like Asano's been broadcasting these X amount of time until the end of humanity, and volume 11 lets you know that no, he's not fucking around with that. Humanity is screwed here. But when we get to the end of volume 11, turns out that one character we thought had been dead, like gone, dead and gone forever. Well, no, he's not actually, dead and gone. It's like he's actually gonna be like the main character for most of volume 12. And volume 12, like the final volume, it's an interesting bag because it's like it's showing you what life is like after the apocalypse has hit, like what life is like for for the people who are left in Japan after things have exploded, after there are random bubbles of energy who, if you touch them, they will explode part of your body and likely leave you dead, like if you touch them in the wrong spot. But this guy who we thought was dead, well, he's determined to get back with his family, and it's through him that we see what has become of all the main cast of the series. And you may be wondering, like, when is this going to happen? When is he going to reveal this stuff? But it's like, but trust me, it pays off after a certain point. And also, it's like, even though I would have liked to have gotten more explanation about what happened to certain characters, because it's implied that Kadode and Oran have become ace mecha pilots for the for the remnants of the Japan government. But that's left to you to believe there. It's like, but it's like it, but in the end, it's like I did kind of like to see how things were resolved, because it does it by by on one hand it's hitting the reset button for this timeline, but also it's implied that hey, the timeline that we are in for volume 12, well, there are characters who believe in it. It's like, hey, they're invested enough in it that they want to to see what happens in order to see what happens in it in order to validate their own existence. And I would have liked to have seen just how Makoto's story ended, the gender fluid character in the series. It's who befriends the main characters and their alien buddy as well, because there is an alien buddy as well. It's and he's trying to figure out what to do with that, with everything as well. It's after he's been thrust into a human body, but because yeah, it's this is a big sprawling series that tries to address everything from the regular everyday person's perspective in in a world like I'm playing against aliens, for the military guys who are just just following orders, from the politicians who are just trying to figure out the best possible way to profit from all this. And this includes the Trump-esque character of Padron, who is running the American side of things. Though I will admit that the way he's dealt with in this series, well, we can only hope that our own Trump-esque character gets a similar send off in the end. But it's and also other characters who it's Taro, who is trying to analyze everything from an outsider's perspective. It's or the or one of the YouTube investigators who is just trying to figure out what's going on, try to figure out stories in order to bolster her like her online profile. It's like and she comes across like someone who is both a professional victim and a professional savior. It's like as well. Like this is a series that tries to cover everything, and it may not like succeed in that. It's like in the end, but it does tell a compelling story in terms like like in depicting Oran and Kadota's friendship over the course of this volume. Because if there's anything to take away from this series, it's that you got to make connections. It's like that in the end, it's like like even if like we are doomed as a species, it's like it'll all be worth it if we like made connections with other people. I mean, even if like those connections like drive us to form form militaristic death cults in order to like survive. It's like these they'll also like form like get us to like try and get like like be our best selves in the end. It's like just prevent us from like trying to prevent the people we love from losing their lives to depression, or just in the end maybe be trying to be like a better dad at the end of the story. It's like the series may not like stick every landing, but I still really enjoyed it. And even if Solanin kind of like is like the like the most like solid and representative of Inio Asano's works, Did Demons Did Destruction, it like I think it succeeds as its ambitions more often than it fails. Because even if like it may not be able to give like voice to every character and perspective on the spectrum that it wants to, it's like it at least like makes that like trying to like understand like every view on their perspective worthwhile. And that's more than I can say from a lot of the stuff I've read recently that taps into the discourse. And it's like and I think that's really an achievement in itself. It's like it's like I know that I already gave the series a spot on my best of list like in 2021, just because like it showed that it was better than I was expecting it to be. But I do think that you probably can expect this series to run up on best of 2023 list, just because rereading this was really entertaining, was a real joy. And on one hand, it's like not only should you go and buy like all 12 volumes right now, but hey, if Viz decides to release this in like say an omnibus like 2-in-1 or 3-in-1 format, then you should do that as well. Or watch the anime series, which I hear is in the works, but I guess we'll see how that goes if it comes out in 2024 or later. But yeah, Demons Destruction like was really good. And I guess for other people listening here, it's like if you ever wondered like the validity of Kirk's hey the needs of the one outweigh the needs of the few, this is the series that like that kind of like really validates that in its end as well.
Well, sounds like a good.
I said that last part for you, John.
I know. So, do you know what you're going to be talking about next time?
It's going to be a surprise for both of us, really.
All right, cool. All right then. Guess we'll catch you on next time on Comic Picks by the Glick.
All right, laters, everyone.
See ya.